I think what's interesting to me is to just think about how you had this strong sense of self. You lost yourself in this relationship. What's so interesting to me is because I think this is in a short period of time, you were able to, it may have felt like forever to you and may have seemed near impossible, but you actually stepped into a healing mode and found yourself again in what I think is like a very powerful and quick way, in a really, and that's one of the things that I admire about you is that that you have a focus. And I think that's I think that's the good side of the black and white, the good side of the kind of the fierceness, the going in and it's a decisiveness.
Yeah.
And
well, I think from that experience, realizing that I got to go with my gut and I got to be decisive with some things, not to be too decisive if it's anger based,
right,
or unfairness based. But if it's coming from a place where I want to survive and I realize that I'm not happy, and that days and weeks and months go by of unhappiness and fear.
I think we've talked about this before of just, you don't always know what's going on behind the curtain, especially for public people where we think we know everything, and I, as your friend, I watched you. I remember when you told me about that you had cancer. I remember when you told me. I was in the parking garage. I was in my car. So I remember that, but I don't remember how you found out.
Yeah. I found out after having done all the right things that we as women are told to do. If you have dense breasts, get an ultrasound, get your mammogram done. Genetic testing is amazing and has helped save so many people's lives. I did genetic testing. I remember getting the results from my doctor. She said, you're clear on everything, BRCA and all the other cancer genes. You're clear. And my doctor, Dr. Thais Alibadi, she has been a big advocate of the breast cancer lifetime risk assessment test, which is just an online test. It's free, and you just answer some questions like, how old were you when you had your first period? How old were you when you had your first baby? Have you ever been pregnant? Is there any, cancer in your family? And anything above 20% is considered high risk. And I scored 37.3%.
Wow.
So she said, go get an MRI. So I went and got the MRI, and I remember the radiologist saying to me, wait, why are you here? You're too young to get an MRI for your breast. And I said, well, my doctor did the lifetime risk assessment test, and he was surprised. He was like, I haven't heard that in a long time. And I said, well, I scored this. And he said, okay. So I do the MRI, and he calls me that same day, and he said, we found something. You need to go get an ultrasound to get it checked. So when I get the ultrasound, the radiologist is taking some time. And finally I said, can you just tell me what you're seeing? And she said, well, I see the one from the MRI, but now I'm seeing two more.
Wow.
And she said, what's concerning because of the shapes, because, anything irregular is a concern. She said, the other thing that's concerning is when they look at the breast, they divide it into quadrants. Imagine putting a cross right through it. And it's not atypical to have multiple tumors if it's cancer in one quadrant, but mine were now in two different quadrants. So they got me in right away the next day for a biopsy. And then it was just 3 days later. I went in on Friday and I found out Tuesday.